Gabor Maté, a renowned physician and author, is known for his insightful writings on the intersections of health, trauma, and societal expectations. His book, The Myth of Normal: Trauma, Illness, and a Toxic Culture, 2023, dives deep into the consequences of living in a society that views suffering, addiction, and mental health struggles as individual flaws rather than as symptoms of a larger systemic issue. In this thought provoking work, Maté challenges the conventional understanding of what constitutes normal behavior, shedding light on how societal norms contribute to physical and psychological diseases, while also offering a compelling narrative on how we can heal. The core argument: normal is a myth. Maté's central thesis in The Myth of Normal is that what society considers normal is in fact deeply abnormal. He argues that modern culture, especially in Western societies, has created an environment that breeds stress, trauma, and alienation, leading to a range of mental and physical health problems. These problems are often treated individually, with a focus on symptoms, rather than the deeper causes rooted in the society itself. According to Maté, the medical community and mainstream society have normalized the conditions that cause suffering, making them appear inevitable or intrinsic to human life, when, in reality, they are largely the result of a toxic culture. Maté's exploration of normalcy extends beyond the individual to encompass how societal structures shape people's health and well-being. He takes a comprehensive approach, examining how factors like family dynamics, social expectations, capitalism, and cultural values contribute to emotional and physical illness. Throughout the book, Maté highlights the interplay between genetics and the environment, suggesting that biological predispositions alone cannot explain the rising rates of chronic illness, addiction, and mental health disorders in modern society. Instead, it is the pervasive and often invisible forces of cultural pressure that are to blame. The impact of trauma on health. A major theme in The Myth of Normal is the profound and long-lasting impact of trauma on physical and mental health. Maté is well known for his work with patients suffering from addiction and chronic illness, and he brings this expertise to the book, using it to illustrate how unresolved trauma can manifest in various health conditions. Maté defines trauma not just as extreme events like abuse or violence, but also as any experience that overwhelms an individual's capacity to cope. This can include experiences of neglect, emotional abandonment, or any form of early emotional stress that disrupts a child's sense of safety and connection. One of the key concepts Maté emphasizes is the role of the brain in processing trauma. He explains that early childhood experiences, especially those involving emotional stress or neglect, can have a profound impact on brain development, potentially leading to changes in the way a person responds to stress throughout their life. This, in turn, makes them more vulnerable to developing physical and psychological conditions like addiction, autoimmune diseases, depression, and anxiety. Maté's writing draws on the latest research in neuroscience to show that trauma literally reshapes the brain, particularly in ways that affect the regulation of emotions and stress. He presents compelling evidence that trauma is often a root cause of chronic illness, including autoimmune diseases, cancer, heart disease, and other conditions that are often misunderstood as being simply genetic or random. The role of stress in disease. Stress is another central theme of the book. In our modern world, stress is pervasive, and many people experience it as a constant, even unacknowledged part of life. Maté argues that while stress is often seen as a normal part of living, it is, in fact, a significant contributor to the development of chronic health problems. The constant pressure to succeed, meet societal expectations, and maintain a facade of emotional stability can take a heavy toll on the body. Maté explains how the chronic stress associated with societal pressures leads to the activation of the body's stress response systems, like the release of cortisol and adrenaline. While these responses are essential in short-term survival situations, when they become chronic, they can lead to a host of physical ailments, including inflammation, high blood pressure, and weakened immune function. Over time, this chronic stress erodes the body's ability to cope with illness, making it more susceptible to chronic diseases. He also critiques the individualistic approach to stress management that is often promoted in popular culture. Many self-help approaches encourage individuals to manage their stress through exercise, mindfulness, or relaxation techniques. While these practices are helpful, Maté argues that they do not address the root cause of stress, the toxic societal structures that create it. He encourages readers to look at the broader context of their lives and consider how systemic factors like work culture, social isolation, and economic inequality contribute to stress in ways that cannot be alleviated by individual actions alone. Capitalism and the medical system. Maté delves into the role of capitalism in shaping both our mental and physical health. He critiques the modern medical system for focusing too heavily on treating symptoms rather than addressing the societal causes of illness. According to Maté, the capitalist model is designed to maintain a state of constant productivity, which places immense pressure on individuals to suppress their emotional and physical needs in favor of economic success. This leads to the normalization of stress, exhaustion, and illness, which are viewed as personal failures rather than as predictable consequences of a profit-driven society. Furthermore, Maté explores how the medical system itself is complicit in this process. He criticizes the over-reliance on pharmaceuticals to manage symptoms rather than looking for holistic and systemic solutions to problems like addiction, mental health disorders, and chronic illness. By focusing on individual treatment, rather than understanding the broader social and emotional context, the medical system perpetuates the myth of normalcy, reinforcing the idea that personal deficiencies are the cause of illness, rather than societal dysfunction. The search for healing. Despite the bleak portrayal of modern society in the myth of normal, Maté is not without hope. He emphasizes the importance of healing, both on an individual and collective level. He argues that the process of healing begins with recognizing and acknowledging the trauma that has shaped our lives. This means confronting the societal structures that perpetuate trauma, stress, and alienation, as well as examining how our personal histories and relationships have contributed to our physical and emotional suffering. Maté's approach to healing is not just about managing symptoms, but about understanding the root causes of our suffering. He encourages readers to cultivate self-awareness, compassion, and vulnerability as tools for recovery. By healing from the inside out, individuals can begin to change their relationship with their bodies, their emotions, and their environment, ultimately leading to more meaningful and fulfilling lives. He also stresses the importance of community and connection in the healing process. Rather than relying solely on individualistic approaches to well-being, Maté advocates for the creation of supportive, compassionate communities that can provide the emotional and social support necessary for healing. He believes that by reconnecting with one another, we can begin to rebuild the trust and safety that is so often damaged by trauma and societal disconnection. The myth of normal challenges our fundamental beliefs about what it means to be healthy and whole. By examining the impact of trauma, stress, and societal pressures on our well-being, Gabor Maté provides a powerful critique of a culture that prioritizes productivity, conformity, and success over emotional and physical health. And his call to action is a reminder that true healing requires a shift in perspective, one that recognizes the systemic causes of suffering and promotes collective as well as individual healing. In dismantling the myth of normal, Maté offers a path toward understanding and addressing the root causes of illness, both on a personal and societal level. His book is an important contribution to the growing conversation around mental health, trauma, and the urgent need for a more compassionate and holistic approach to healing.